is AEW Unrestricted, the official podcast of All Elite Wrestling. And I am Will Washington. And I am not alone here on this show because I am always joined by the one and only Aubrey Edwards. Aubrey, what are we doing here?
I don't know. I don't even know what year it is anymore. You know that Robin Williams gif from Jumanji where he's like, what year is it? Like, that's my life right now.
Sure. You have had a busy time, and we're going to talk about all of that. There's so much to talk about on this special edition of AEW Unrestricted because our guest today is us. Yes, we're going to be catching up on all the things we've been up to. But before we get to that, I want to remind everybody that this show right here is brought to you in part by Upper Deck. And you can collect your favorite wrestlers in 2025 Upper Deck AEW and start your trading card collection today. Unwrap autograph, memorabilia, or premium tech inserts. Visit upperdeck.com to learn more. I've got my cards here. I've got so many cards here.
I've just been displaying cards the entire time you've been doing our little intro bumper of like, look at all these amazing people that were in WrestleDream this last weekend.
Yeah, I mean,
There's so many.
WrestleDream was an incredible show. From top to bottom. I mean, and when we say from top, I mean like we kicked the show off mid-match, which is something we've never done before. But literally, we had the tailgate spill over into the actual pay-per-view, pyro going off during a match.
I remember getting like the text message from Paul Turner with the run sheet, and like FTR Jet Speed was listed as both pre-show and main card, which I'm like, oh, this must be a typo. And I'm like, hey, so which one is it in? And someone says both. And then Bryce Remsburg's like, new kind of crossover, baby.
Yeah, no, honestly, I went out into the audience to witness this happen. And, you know, there's a lot of things that can bring an audience to life during a match. And the crowd was already into this. But to watch them become as electric as they became in this match, as they all realized what was happening, and they all came to their feet and were losing it at the idea of this pyro going off during this match. And it took the match from, I would say, from 80 to 150. It was just suddenly like they were here and they were here. And I think what was really unique about that was that just as a whole, when we look at this show, when we look at what we were able to do with WrestleDream, you know, AEW, we always talk about we're the best wrestle. And I think this was a show that exemplified that. But then to take it a step further, this is a show where tag team wrestling is alive and well. And we had 3 incredible tag matches that were all incredibly unique from each other, that were all incredibly different from each other. And yet, all of which were straight 2-on-2 tag matches. You had Jet Speed versus FTR, but then you turn around and you had Jurassic Express versus the Young Bucks. Then you turn around and you had Brodito versus Konosuke Takeshita and Kazuchika Okada. And it was like, across the board, we had 3 incredibly, very, very different tag matches that all knocked everyone's socks off. And I cannot say enough about what our tag division is today. And, you know, as with all those teams I named, I love the fact that any one of those teams could be tag team champions right now. But you've got Brodito walking away with them, and they make a good argument for being the best of those teams.
Absolutely. And I had the same thought you did as all of these matches are kind of happening. And it felt very like indicative of day one AEW, where the thing that really made us stand out was our tag division, because we had a company that was started by the Young Bucks, who were at the time unequivocally the best tag team in the world. And since then, we have grown the division to include so many other people. Because, I mean, if you look at Brodito versus Okada and Takeshita, neither of those guys were there on day one. But now I can't think of having them not at AEW because they're so synonymous with it. And especially Okada and Takeshita being like primarily known as singles guys, but then when they're in a tag match, you're like, this is amazing. Why would these guys not tag together? And it's like, oh, because they hate each other. Okay.
Yes.
I'm constantly reminded, like seeing Okada's grin as he accidentally gave a clothesline to Takeshita, accidentally in massive air quotes, maybe, I don't know. But oh my God, like I've never had a harder time trying to not laugh in the middle of a match.
No, honestly, like I said, there was so much I had a really great time with, and I would say the fans in St. Louis, like really, oh my God, the fans in St. Louis, they showed out. They were electric. I almost forgot about it, right? Like I reminded myself because I remember sitting in the audience, and sometimes people who are at shows will catch me do that, right? Where I will literally I will go find a spot and I'm just like, let me just enjoy this from this perspective. And I do that a lot. And I remember doing that at Dynasty and like looking around and going, man, St. Louis is hot. This is such a hot, like because I went out and I watched, and I have pictures from it too that I posted, but I went out and watched Bryan Danielson versus Will Ospreay from Dynasty, and just feeling the electricity in that building and feeling like, man, people do not give St. Louis enough credit for being as much of a wrestling town as they are. And then for them to show out for us again for this show.
It was awesome. I was reminded how like easy it is to get to St. Louis too, because one of the things I've been doing every week at AEW is we have this little Heels Street team now. So it's a bunch of Heels members who are volunteering their time to basically spread how great Heels is. And we do it on the concourse before doors. And the WrestleDream team filled up so fast. And then on top of that, we're standing out there while doors have just opened. It's been pouring rain outside. So all these girls are drenched because they've been waiting for doors to open. And then all of these other Heels members came over and they were helping out too. And I'm like, wow, there are so many people here who are not only local, but also traveling in, because St. Louis is, and I forgot how big of a wrestling town is, because I remember that match at Dynasty, and Dynasty last year in general was just such a crazy show. But for some reason, I don't put St. Louis in one of those top wrestling cities that I think about. Sure. You know, it's not a Toronto, it's not a Philly, it's not a Chicago, but maybe it should be, because people like, they show up, they show out, and it is like the fans are what make wrestling what it is, right? And when we have those incredible shows where the fans are really a big star of the show, like that's people ask me all the time, how do I get a pay-per-view in my town? Like, you be St. Louis, that's how you get a pay-per-view.
and honestly, like the fun they were having with some of the chants, like I was talking with, like when Nick Jackson came back through the curtain, he was like, what were they saying out there at us? And I was like, food stamps. They were chanting food stamps at you guys.
Oh my God. Shout out to whoever did their entrance graphics, because the $32.75 bucks or whatever it was just, oh my God. I don't know how those guys keep coming up with something new every week that is just as good as the week before. But yeah. I mean, we talk about them as being creative wrestlers, but like creative is the key part there. Like, they're creative in all aspects of the presentation. So phenomenal.
Yeah, absolutely great stuff. It was genius stuff. And you know, like, we can't talk about this show. I was actually pulling up some stats, and I was talking to you about this before the show, but I had to pull some stats for a question that was asked of me. And I did this from memory. And then I had to cross-check it to make sure I had to cross-check it to make sure it was accurate. And there was only one where I was off. But otherwise, the question was asked of me of who has the most main events in AEW pay-per-view history. And I knew that right off the top of my head. I was like, oh, there's no question. It's Jon Moxley.
I was about to say Bryce Remsburg.
Yeah. Right. But I was talking as far as performers was concerned. The question was, and I was like, oh, Jon Moxley. There's no question. The only question was how far of a gap between Jon and number 2 would there have been? Mm-hmm. And so like I honestly didn't even doubt it, but then I went through and I pulled it all. And so my question is, who do you believe would be number 2? And honestly, honestly, let's go through them all. I have, we will go up until, if I pull this list, let's see, we have 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, yeah. So who would you believe the number 2 for the second most main events in AEW pay-per-view history is?
It's either MJF or Darby Allin. No? What? Oh my
Second
God.
most. So we have Jon Moxley at 18.
Okay. Ooh, that's a lot.
Yeah. Right. So I was like, there's this, how big of a gap is it? But it's not as big as I thought it was going to be. Number 2 is actually Hangman Adam Page with 11.
Really?
Our
Why did I
AEW
not think
World
that?
Champion. Yeah.
Oh,
he
of
has
course.
11. And then number 3 is tied. MJF and Kenny Omega both have 7 main events.
Okay.
And
So
then number
question,
4,
because I have some question about these stats. So
Yes.
what if you have something that is a unsanctioned match? Because those typically go after the show. And famously, we've had Jon Moxley and Kenny Omega in one of the first
Sure.
unsanctioned or lights out matches. So that was at the end of the show, but it wasn't the main event. How does that work? Tell me, Step
So
Billy.
I had to go for end of the show
Okay,
because
that's fair. That's fair.
when I cross-checked these, there was a bit of a debate because somebody was like, well, actually, Hangman only has 10. And I was like, okay, well, I have 11. And we were going back and forth on 10 and 11. And I was like, wait. Are you not counting All Out 2024? Because All Out 2024, I am counting that. They were like, okay, well, if you count that, then... Because there's a lot that would change, right? Because... that would take Jon Moxley down 1 because he had an unsanctioned match. And that would actually put Chris Jericho up 1 because he had the second to last match that night. And
Yep.
so there's... but either way, I'm saying the last match. You went on last, unsanctioned or sanctioned. And so, yeah, like I said, Kenny Omega and MJF are tied for 7 main events. Who do you think comes after that? It's one individual who stands alone with 6.
Ooh, I'm gonna say. Oh, I have no idea. Bryan Danielson.
You are correct. It is
Yeah,
Bryan Danielson.
look at me. Okay, how many of those have held the AEW World Championship?
All.
There you go. I was running through my champion list. Like, was it this guy? Was it this guy? Like running through like the lineage of who had the belt, and I'm like,
Right.
I have a feeling it's that guy.
And then after that, there's multiple people who are tied for 5.
Of course.
And the tie for 5 is Darby Allin, Chris Jericho, Swerve Strickland, and the Young Bucks
That
have
makes sense.
had 5 main events. And then
I like how you're bringing it back around to our initial start of talking about tag team wrestling because
Right.
very rarely before AEW existed, how many times has tag team wrestling been the main event of a pay-per-view, right?
Sure.
And
And-
it is without question we can do it a lot here because our tag team division is so stacked.
yeah, and the Bucks have gotten to main event the show multiple times, and that is something that thinking about in the history of tag team wrestling across any company, the fact that the Bucks have gotten to do that a total of 5 times, and they are in there with a who's who of names is excellent. And thinking about Darby, right, and the fact that Darby has not been a world champion yet. And for him
Yet.
to have had the, I say yet because I think
We all know. We all know.
I think it is in Darby's future. But yeah, to think about Darby and what he was able to do in this show, and the fact that he's been able to do it at previous WrestleDreams, and he hasn't been a world champion, but at the same time, Darby is somebody whose flag is firmly planted, Mount Everest, and as far as being a tentpole name as far as AEW is concerned, and he is somebody who can be the main event of an AEW show. And like I said, I'm just so proud of so much of the show. And I think we've got a lot more to talk about, but I want to take a quick break. And because I want to talk about your travel as soon as we get back. Let's take a quick break here on AEW Unrestricted. We've got more to talk about. I'm Will Washington. She's Aubrey Edwards. We'll see you in a sec.
It is AEW Unrestricted, Aubrey Edwards, Will Washington, and we are talking about the crazy show and the crazy week leading up to WrestleDream in St. Louis. It was this last Saturday. It was incredible. And it was one of those shows where I don't think, for some reason, we all know that AEW pay-per-views are the absolute best. And we're like, it's going to be good. And then it ends up happening. And we're like, this is one of the best shows we've ever done. Like, consistently, time and time again. And there was a short moment where I almost didn't make it. And I was going to be really, really sad.
I was so happy to see you when you walked up to me, because like I was legitimately worried you weren't going to make it. And you know, the funny thing is for everybody who had been following on social media and had been following everything that had been going on, like you were in Mexico literally the night before.
Yeah,
and
the night before in the main event of
honestly,
CMLL.
I was very very pleased with your social segment with Mercedes. That was so much fun.
My first promo in Spanish. It went pretty well.
I know. I was like, oh, she's gonna speak Spanish here. I absolutely know it. This is great. So I want to talk about all of the above.
Oh my God.
I mean, let's start with your travel, because being, two places, working back-to-back nights, two countries,
two pay-per-views, two different, oh my God. So
two different companies. Yeah.
Before we talk about my travel, I want to just give a shout out to Mercedes Moné, who, my schedule was ridiculous, but then we realized she won multiple belts in 3 different countries over 3 days, having 3 different matches. So she's now 12 belts Moné. I can't even keep track anymore. So, I mean, I had a crazy schedule, but she's easily cementing herself in history as one of the greatest of all time, because she has since beat and destroyed Ultimo Dragon's record. So, pretty awesome. But that is part of the reason why I was down in Mexico, is because Mercedes wanted a official that she could, pay a little money to and potentially call things in her favor. But she forgot that I am impartial and I call it down the middle, which I did, despite the outcome.
I don't know a whole lot of Spanish, but I did pick up the word impartial.
Imparcial, yeah.
Yes. I was like, I know what that means.
That's called a cognate, where it kind of sounds similar to the English word and you can figure out what it means. There's a lot of those in Spanish.
Yes.
Yeah, but it was when it became clear that we were announcing sort of my presence, and they're like, hey, we're gonna have a promo, and I'm like, oh God, what am I gonna say? And I was like, well, I don't want to suddenly turn Rudo down in Mexico, so how do I keep this actually official? So I just added my little Spanish bit at the end. Had to check grammar with a couple of our Spanish speaking coaches backstage before I went out. So shout out to AEW staff for helping me with this. And then we finished filming, and Mercedes is like, hey, what did you actually say? And I'm like, I said I'm impartial and I'll call it down the middle. She's like, oh, well, damn. But yeah, it was straight from Kansas City. I went to Mexico City. So I was there for about 36 hours. We did the main event of CMLL. It was Mercedes Moné versus Persephone, and they two had a match at Forbidden Door in London, along with who else was in that match? Alex Windsor and Bozilla. So it was a nice little callback to their previous meeting in the 4-way, but it was for the CMLL women's title, and Mercedes Moné won. And then I was on a flight at 5:50 a.m. the next day, which was delayed. I missed my connection, had to call Paul Turner, so shout out to the AEW travel department, for then immediately booking me on a flight that was then delayed because of air traffic control shortages and weather in St. Louis. I literally showed up 15 minutes before doors opened. So thanks to everyone who made that possible. And then I got to do some awesome matches.
But you didn't just do some awesome matches. We have to talk about the workhorse that is Aubrey Edwards, because you then didn't just come in and do your ref work, right? Because, obviously a shout out to the shirt you have on, but AEW Heels, right? You immediately
yes.
went to work in the Heels booth.
I did. So I walk in the door, and luckily the back entrance was right next to our prop truck. And shout out to our prop guys. They now have a locker that says Aubrey's banners in it, that I keep all my heel stuff in there. So I just I ask, can I dump my stuff here? And they're like, yes. And I drop 4 bags that I just got off a plane. I run in there, grab my banner. I go upstairs. They've already opened doors because, again, it was pouring rain outside. So the girls are waiting in the spot where I told them that they were going to be. And I literally whip out this banner. They start setting it up because all of them are just friggin' awesome and they know what they're doing. We were out there for, I think, something like 35 minutes, packed it all up after we took a nice big group photo. And then I went downstairs, walked into makeup, and then Emperor's New Groove style went boom, baby, and then sat in a chair and then started getting my makeup done while I'm listening to people yell at Wheeler Yuta during our tailgate brawl.
And again, like I said, hats off to you. You just did such an incredible set of work in such a short amount of time. I was worried you just weren't going to be there. I was like, okay, well,
me too.
I
but it wasn't for lack of trying, right?
Right.
And I think that goes for everyone at AEW. Is when you know the moment is important, you do whatever you can to get there. I have seen people say, I missed my flight, I'm going to drive 6 hours to the show. It's possible. People show up right when it opens, right when the show starts, so they can end up doing their segment on time. And it's the commitment that we as a team have grown to have at AEW, that we're there, we are committed, we want to make it happen because we have these incredible fans that are supporting us, and they deserve an excellent show.
Absolutely. I again, but I do want to ask you though, how was your time in Mexico? It was short, but how was your time in Mexico?
Oh, it was wonderful. Like, the vegan food down there is absolutely incredible. And as long as you don't drink the water, you're going to have a good time. But I don't know if it should be announced by the time this podcast drops, but if it's not, this is an exclusive. I'm actually going back on Thursday. CMLL is doing the Grand Prix, which actually features 6 talent from All Elite Wrestling. We've got the Triangle of Madness. We've got Mina Shirakawa. We've got Diamante. And then we've got me all in this match that'll take like an hour. So, I thought it was a whirlwind, but now it's going to be even more of a whirlwind month.
Wow. Look, the fact that you were able to do all of that and you still have so much more to do. And I mean, luckily we're going from Texas to Mexico. It's not as bad. So obviously, we're in the middle of a shutdown. So like there's, so travel has been for everybody. There's always going to be a little bit of a hiccup. I was actually surprised that I was able to get through TSA as quickly as I was the last 2 times I had to travel during the shutdown. And
shout out to everyone who works TSA and flight control who is showing up to work and putting in the effort, because all of us have places to be and we wouldn't be doing it without everyone here. So.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Shout out to everybody, because I know it's tough and I know the future's uncertain and nobody knows what's happening. And the fact that we are all still able to be different places and be where we need to be, it's because of you. So thank you.
Thank you for anyone listening to this. Anyway, we've got a lot more to talk about, but we've got to take another quick break here. So I'm going to cut you off, Will, before we've got more to talk about from WrestleDream here on AEW Unrestricted.
AEW Unrestricted. It's Aubrey Edwards. It's Will Washington. And we are talking about the week that was. And we just had a WrestleDream. It was in St. Louis. We had an incredible time. It was an incredible show. And, earlier in the show, we were talking about, the tag division and how we have 3 tag matches that were all very different from each other. But another division that got showcased quite a bit on this show was our women's division, right?
Brother.
We had 3 different women's matches on this show.
4 if you include Tailgate Brawl.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely. If you include Tailgate Brawl, there's 4. But I was just talking main card, but you're absolutely right. There was, we got to see a showcase of some of the best wrestling that AEW has to offer, and it came via our women's division. I thought, I have a bit of a hot take. I'm going to challenge some of the AEW fans that I hear from often, because I read a lot of the things that you guys say. And I want to talk about Jamie Hayter versus Tekla. And the fact that I thought that this was electric from beginning to end. The crowd was so into it. And I thought the action was so hot, so fast-paced. And my hot take here is that I don't think a lot of the AEW fans give Jamie Hayter enough credit for this run she's currently on. I know that the thing that's often said is, before her injury, Jamie Hayter was a world champion, and she hasn't had a world championship in this current run. And so they're like, we want to see her where she was in the previous run. I'm going to be honest with you. The championship doesn't necessarily make a run, because I would say that what we've seen from Jamie Hayter in this current iteration, in this run of hers, is the best work of her career. I think that when you see Jamie, I think she has shown so much in the last year as far as the personality is concerned. It shocked me. I had to think about it, but she had never cut a promo before her return. And the fact that she's had a ton of promos now, she's such a natural at it.
And she was the one that announced Blood and Guts, which at the time felt like so natural. Like, of course she's going to be the one to do it.
Yeah, and like when you think about the fact that she's somebody that, again, you would trust to do something like that, that she is somebody who you know is a strong enough personality that she should be the one to lay it out for everybody that Blood and Guts is happening. And by the way, Blood and Guts is happening. Greensboro, North Carolina, AEWTix.com. Get your tickets. But again, we see her in the matches that she's gotten to have with, the matches with Mercedes, and she's had matches with Tekla, and she's having these just incredible singles matches and really showcasing how much more she can do. Yeah, she was a former women's world champion, and she was an excellent women's world champion. But I think this run that she's on now, I think she is the best Jamie Hayter she's ever been. And I want to challenge the fans to take the championship away from it for a second, because I think that the Jamie we see today is more worthy of a world championship run than Jamie has ever been.
I'm going to agree with you on all of this, because I feel like the testament to a really good wrestler is when they can do something enthralling and it's not involving a title. And the easiest example that you can give beyond Jamie Hayter is Hangman Adam Page, who his growth as a wrestler, like, yes, he had title opportunities, but how much of that was involved with an actual title in the picture? Not a lot in his most recent, which, by the way, shout out to Zane Decker on our production team for putting together that incredible documentary, The Good, the Bad, the Hangman. Like, if you haven't watched it, go to AEW's YouTube page and watch it. It is an excellent character piece on someone who we all know and love. And there's plant stuff in it, and you learn a lot about plants, which you should always learn when you're dealing with Hangman. But I feel like that's a testament to how much our women's roster has grown, is that we can now tell these stories on such a big stage, such as a pay-per-view, where we do not need to involve a title. That we have a match like Jamie Hayter and Tekla that people are excited to see just because both of these women are incredible athletes who will beat the crap out of each other. You don't need to involve a title. Both of them are draws. Both of them are huge, huge aspects of our roster. And I could not be more proud of the women and what they did this weekend.
Yeah. And again, I agree. I fully agree. I'm almost just lost for words just thinking about it. I actually, like, my brain just for a second there went off because I was thinking about Jamie's entrance, and like and when she ran over and hugged Charlie Thez, and I was like, we had Charlie Thez in the building. Yeah. And that was so cool. Like, meeting her backstage, and she is such a wealth of wrestling knowledge. And, as she, just talking to her and talking about some of the things she's seen and experienced over, her decades around the wrestling business. I mean, AEW, we always say, is a place to, it's such a cornucopia of wrestling knowledge, because I've just learned so much just talking to people who have been around the business. And I would say, like, Charlie Thez was up there as far as the people I've gotten to talk to and really, like, just get a good sense of the history of this business from. So shout out Charlie Thez being in the building for WrestleDream and talking about our company and putting over our company the way she did. I can't say enough good things about Charlie Thez.
If we can continue to talk about amazing women in wrestling for a minute, I want to give props to Toni Storm and Chris Statlander, because that was arguably the best match, like, from a technical match perspective, without any sort of stipulation outside of just the title. It was so good. And in a first time one-on-one meeting with these two women, for them to have a match that is that fantastic is a testament to how both of them wrestle, how both of them have grown in their careers, but also how both of them are as partners in a dance, where a good match involves everybody in the ring, right? It's not just one person over the other. It's like, you have to have a good opponent to have a good match. And you have to be able to, bring your opponent up to your level. But if all these opponents are already at a high level, now there's a lot of expectation. I feel like they exceeded that expectation. And I remember specifically at the end of the match, the bell rang and I look up and I see people standing, to get a standing ovation at the end of a match that starts with a very technical kind of slow pace and then works towards these massive, huge spots. I literally told the girls, take a moment, breathe, and enjoy this, because it doesn't happen often, But I think we are in a moment in time in AEW where we are seeing this happen more often, especially with our women's division. And I mean, I'm a broken record, but I could not be more proud of the women at this company and what they're doing to elevate not only the division, but each other in these small, segmented moments of just having awesome matches, because it's all of these little bits that build together to make the division what they are.
Yeah, I fully agree. I totally had missed that it was Toni Storm's birthday on Sunday.
I had no idea. Goddamn. I gotta shoot her a text.
And so it was like the very next day, I was like, oh, it was your birthday. Like, yeah. So, but yeah, it just, again, you said it all, and you got to be out there for it. And
it's one of those moments where I'm just so freaking grateful for, right? Like, it's AEW giving everybody opportunities, not just these incredible wrestlers, but like going back to the CMLL part, right? Like, Forbidden Door is such a huge part where we just like know it's happening every year. But before AEW, companies weren't working together. So the fact that you can have two people, and me and Mercedes, go to CMLL and ref in their work in their main event for the show, and then come back and be a part of a pay-per-view, but have everyone supporting everyone and everyone elevating everyone. That's really cool. And that's something that wasn't happening 6 years ago. And it's something we take for granted now. But like, I am so incredibly grateful for all of the things that I get to experience and all the things I get to see my coworkers experience, because wrestling is the best it's ever been.
Yes, it really is. And, and again, we were talking about women's matches, and then we moved straight into Mercedes entering, by the way, with the frat house.
Griff Garrison, your dance moves have always been impeccable, but you showed out.
Yeah. And, the frat house being there, and the fact is, as far as Mercedes had to say, she picked the frat house because there wasn't anyone good enough looking in St. Louis to accompany her to the ring, so she turned to the frat house to help her down with those belts. So St. Louis, obviously, you show out quite a bit, but Mercedes she's going to need it for next time. Yeah, especially because she's got more belts. So show up, St. Louis. We need more. But she got to face Mina Shirakawa for the interim ROH Women's World Television Championship. And, that's so fascinating because, we've dealt with interim titles quite a bit over the last about almost 4 years in AEW and in Ring of Honor. But the one thing the interim champion has always been able to do is hold on to their title until they have to face off with the lineal champion. And Mina Shirakawa was not able to. For the first time, we saw an interim championship change hands. But the lineal champion is still Red Velvet.
Yep.
And
I'm very, very excited for where this is going. Like, as soon as I saw that it was Mina was the opponent, I'm like, oh, the hypotheticals popping into my head of what this means for an interim champion, because you need to have that matchup at one point. You need to have the interim champion versus the lineal champion so you can know who is the champion. But now we suddenly have this weird situation where the interim champion is new in the time that the lineal champion was crowned. I wonder what's going to happen. I'm super excited to see this play out.
Right, and I think for a lot of people, Red Velvet and Mercedes is one of those matches that I think, going back to early AEW, when the idea of Mercedes even being in AEW was a fantasy.
Yes.
And, that was one of those like, hey, if Mercedes ever came to AEW, Red Velvet would be one of those names that you'd want to see her really, square off with at on a big stage,
right?
On a high level.
And how has it not happened yet?
and now to know that, this match now has big stakes. It has big championship implications. And, we have the potential to crown the undisputed ROH World Women's Television Champion. This is exciting. This is what it's all about. And this is what, like, this run of Mercedes, her being on this run is all about. And then knowing now she gets another crack at Chris Statlander and the World Championship. That, again, is something to this is a reason that AEW is what it is. we are who we are. It is because of potential matchups like this, and knowing that, again, we got Full Gear right around the corner.
It's the potential matchups plus
Yeah.
them delivering on those matchups. Like, that's the key thing. You have to have both components for it to be a place where the best wrestle, and we knock it out of the park every time. I know we're friggin' biased because like we work for the company, but I feel like as wrestling fans, because everyone who is in this business is a wrestling fan first. Like, I am so excited about this moment in time in AEW.
Yes. And the other two things I wanted to talk about really quick.
Yes.
We got to talk about Hangman Adam Page and Samoa Joe. Because they tore the house down, the two of them. Those 3 buckshot lariats, those were insane. I have to say, though, one of the nicest men on the face of the planet, I had just seen him earlier in the day, is Katsuyori Shibata. And saw him earlier in the day, shook hands, and he's always smiles. He's
always so kind. He always bows whenever he shakes his hand. You're just like, I don't even belong in the same space as you, man. You're too respectful.
Yeah. I know. He came up to me, tapped me on the shoulder, and just wanted to say hi, shook hands, bow, like all of it. I love Shibata so much. He is such a genuinely good, kind person. So to see him out there kicking the shit out of Hangman Adam Page as the ops, they turned. They crossed Hangman after the match, and
I felt like Tyra Banks senseless. In that GIF where I was just like, "We believed in you. We all believed in you. How could you?"
Yep. Like Hobbs. I've known Hobbs years. I know what he's got in him. I know that man has a mean streak in him. And we know what Samoa Joe is capable of. But look, Shibata.
My heart was broken. Like, yes. No, one of the purest people in the world. How could you?
Yep. But you know what? I get it. Look, because at the end of the day, it's in the name. They are the ops.
Yeah.
And
should have known better, guys.
Yes. Should have known better. But honestly, to see a fired up version of these 3 is going to be quite insane. I think that Samoa Joe is always dangerous, but this version of Samoa Joe feels like he could be the most dangerous version we've ever seen. Again, Hobbs, he is somebody that he is always somebody you do not want to be on the wrong side of. But when we've seen Dark Side of Hobbs, we have seen what that man is capable of. We have seen him spinebuster legends to death. Like we know what Hobbs can do, and then at the same time, Shibata.
How could
there you have it.
You need to burn this card. Upper Deck.
Those who have followed Shibata for a very long time know what Shibata looks like when he's on the dark side. And now knowing that he's here, I think we have just scratched the surface of what the ops can be and are going to be.
Yeah, there's a lot of things that are happening in AEW as far as character growth and storyline moments and whatnot, but this is one of those ones that's really fascinating where we've seen these guys kind of in different realms, either at AEW or at different points in their career at other companies, and it is quite intriguing. I'm looking forward to seeing how these guys make their mark as the jerks that they are, the jerks that they are now at AEW.
Well, and speaking of making a mark and leaving a mark, I have to say the main event.
Can I just say that when the fish tank broke, I was just like, there are shards of glass. Like, please be careful. Like, it's one of those things where anytime you watch a Darby Allin match, you're like, please don't die. This like, ugh. And like, it's funny because I saw him drowning and I'm like, he's been through worse. And then the fish tank broke and I'm like, no, this is how everyone dies.
I mean, he's been through worse. That man had been through worse 5 minutes prior.
Right?
The thing that I always have to shout out is Claudio. Like,
yes,
the margin of error you guys have to understand in a moment like that where Claudio literally presses Darby.
Another human being. And Darby looks small, but he's like over 170 pounds. Like, that's a lot of mass.
Yes. And the way that he just throws that man into the announce table from the ring, the inside of the ring. We are not talking about, from the apron or even the top rope. We're talking about from inside the ring.
I don't think people realize how wide our aprons are. Like a lot of wrestling rings have like different length turnbuckles and whatnot. Ours are pretty long so that we've got a lot of room on the apron to do some stuff. Like that's even farther than you expect.
Yeah. And, I watched, I sat in the crowd for this one. I wanted to witness kind of everybody. Like I had seen, Sting earlier in the day, and I got really excited over the idea that I'm like, okay, so the fans are going to have, I wanted to see what the reaction was going to be, and I wanted to feel that reaction the moment the lights went out. But again, like I said, Darby is just a maniac, and Jon is even crazier. And knowing what these two were able to do out there in that setting, in that moment, I knew about the water, but I just wasn't sure exactly how it was going to play out. And one of the effects like you don't even think about is like Darby's face paint, like filling up the water, like giving it that kind of like, adding to the effect. Yeah, just murkying up the water, like reminding you that yes, this man is, being thrown into this. He's having his face just shoved into this water. But again, like I said, the moment the lights went out in Sting, I saw somebody online call him White Walker Sting, and I was like,
yes.
Yeah.
I was going to say two things to this, because like, one, shout out to Old Man Sting. I think this is my favorite version of Sting, where he's just like, the goatee is like even more badass than it previously was. And I'm like, this is dope. I love that he's just like totally enjoying his time off. But then when he comes in, he just wrecks shit. It's great. Two, I like that Darby Allin has now sort of officially become mini Sting, because the finish of that match was the Scorpion Death Drop into the Coffin Drop into the Scorpion Deathlock. And I'm like, oh, we just saw the natural progression and the changing of the guard. And like, maybe this is a little too inside baseball, but I'm like, this is really awesome. Like,
right.
This
for
is
Sting
one of the
to
moments.
hand him, he handed him the bat. He tossed him the bat. And like, for Darby to finally have it in his hands. And like, that felt like such a moment. And of course,
I would have been crying had I not been worried about people dying. Like,
sure.
Because it was just such a touching moment. And it's one of those things in wrestling that I think we forget to acknowledge, that there is this old generation that has done a lot to set up where we are today. And we were grateful enough and to live in the time where we got to see Sting and Darby tag together. And they had an incredible run. They were tag team champions. But to see this moment where you start to see the transition of Sting is truly going into his retirement years, and he's giving Darby the things that make him Sting. And this is just so, so special. And I'm glad that it happened in a moment where, one, he hadn't drowned, and two, where he ends up getting to beat Jon Moxley in this amazing I Quit match in the middle of the ring in St. Louis.
Yeah. Honestly, WrestleDream is starting to become an event that like kind of belongs to Darby in a sense, right? That, getting to main event the first show in Seattle all the way to main eventing this show in St. Louis. And it was such a great moment for Darby Allin. So proud of that guy. And for what he's gotten to accomplish just this year has been incredible for Darby. And the sky continues to be the limit for that man. And I
quite literally,
wait to
he
see
climbed
what's next.
Everest and lived.
Yeah.
The sky is not the limit. Who knows what's next? I have no idea.
Right. Absolutely. And it's such a great weekend. Again, we sound like a broken record when we talk about the fact that AEW does pay-per-view like nobody else. And we've got another one.
We get to be a broken record for... I know, we get to be a broken record for a reason, because we keep showing out. Like, we're going back to Newark, the Prudential Center, for Full Gear. It's going to be good. We already know that Mercedes Moné has challenged Chris Statlander, and both of their last matches were absolute bangers. So I can't imagine what they're going to do in a third meeting. It's going to be real good. But yeah.
It's going to be real good.
Thank you so much for listening to AEW Unrestricted. I'm glad we get to have these episodes from time to time where we actually get to talk about all the things that excite us behind the scenes and what you've seen on camera at all of these events. Again, AEW Unrestricted is presented by Upper Deck, so thank you to our title sponsor. Collect your favorite wrestlers in the 2025 Upper Deck AEW. Start your trading card collection today. Unwrap autograph, memorabilia, premium tech inserts. Visit upperdeck.com to learn more. Also, you can listen to and follow this podcast. Definitely watch it because we get to see all these cool cards and occasional fun things. You can follow us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, wherever you get your podcasts. The YouTube channel is AEW Unrestricted. Just hit the subscribe button so you never miss an episode. And if you're not an AEW insider, you can get early access to ticket pre-sales, special merchandise offers, and more straight to your inbox. Sign up today, AEWTix.com. Don't forget, Dynamite on TBS Wednesday nights at 8 p.m. and streaming on HBO Max. AEW Collision live every Saturday on TNT, also streaming on HBO Max. ROH streams every Thursday on Honor Club. I'm Aubrey Edwards with my co-host and BFF, Will Washington. Thank you so much for listening. Peace out, everybody.